Hello everyone, it's Alistair here again with another daily challenge for you. And today we're going to talk about words. We're going to talk about the rule of three or the law of three, which is this idea that things are somehow more pleasing, more elegant, more right if they come in groups of three when we're talking about writing and describing things. So I'm going to get you to think about this just in relation to, say, children's stories to start with. So can you think of any children's stories where there are three characters or where there are three things in the name of the story or even three words in the title? Have a little think. Pause the video if you need to, just to give you that all important thinking time, and let's get going with thinking about threes. Okay, did you come up with anything? So just off the top of my head I can think of things like Three Little Bears. What about The Lion, The Witch and the Wardrobe, The Three Little Pigs. I can think of stories like Cinderella, where there are two stepsisters and Cinderella, so again a batch of three. So just this idea that threes work well. So what we're going to talk about is ways that you can describe things, whether you're doing a piece of writing, if you enjoy your writing, or if you just prefer to talk rather than write, whether you can describe things or report things in kind of little groups of three, and just see how using those sets of three can make what you're doing enjoyable and can really make you sound like you're in control of what you're saying or writing to the person that is reading your writing or who is listening to you. So let's have a little look at a picture just to illustrate the point I'm making. So I'm going to shrink myself down there and I'm going to turn that on so you can see my display. We're not going to talk about this superhero just yet. We're going to come to her in a minute. We're going to talk about this crowded beach that you can see here. So obviously there's lots and lots going on this beach. It's clearly a really sort of nice day and people have flocked in huge numbers to this beach and they're all doing different things. So we can imagine a situation where we're wanting to describe this to somebody else that wasn't there, or perhaps we're setting a story here or something like that, and we could just go ahead and say, I can see somebody sunbathing. In the distance there are people in the sea. But what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about batching those things in threes. So the basic model for a sort of sentence that would follow the law of three is kind of something, something and something else. So let's try this out using this picture. So we could say very simply, I can see people sunbathing. That's our first thing. And then we would have a comma if we were writing, or just a pause if we're talking. I can see people sunbathing, people eating their picnic lunches, that's the second thing, and people paddling on the shore. So if we put the whole thing together, it sounds like this. I can see people sunbathing, people eating their picnic lunches, and people paddling on the shore. So that is the idea of the sort of three things going together, just to make this kind of nice, elegant feeling sentence. So what I want to do now is I want to have a look at this jungle scene. So using this idea of just three things in a sentence following that same rhythm, I would like you to just put together a very simple sentence which you can write down if you want to, or you can just say out loud, which follows that pattern. So it will be something like, I can see number one thing, number two thing, and number three thing. Can you have a go? I'll wait for you here. Okay, so you could have gone for something really simple like this. in the jungle, or I went for a walk in the jungle, and I saw a leopard, a snake, and a parrot. Okay, and that sounds nice. Okay, that's a good example, a fine example of rule of three. We've also got the possibility that we could extend those things just a little bit by possibly using adjectives or describing words that you might have talked about before. So we could say something like, when I went to the jungle, I saw a cheeky leopard hiding behind a tree, a green snake wrapped around the branch of a tree, and a scarlet red macaw. And we've got a kind of nice sounding description there. Because we've used three things, we've told the people that we're reporting back to lots of things about this scene, and we've really kind of brought it to life with this nice feeling rhythm too. Okay, so what else can we do with the rule of three or the law of three? Well, we can sort of review things, or we can talk about our own experiences. So let's imagine now that you've headed off you've been out to a party and you come back home, and mum or dad or someone else at home has said to you, "Oh, how was the party?" Now, sometimes if you're anything like my children, you might, want to explain, but you might just sort of not, describe it all that much, just because you don't get into it. So you might end up saying something like, "Oh yeah, it's fine. It was good. Yeah, it was all right. It's good." But if you start using rule of threes, then you have a way to automatically give more detail about what you got up to. So question could be, how was the party? And your answer could be, oh, it was good, yeah. When we got there, we played some funny games. Then we had a huge birthday tea. And finally, Josh blew out his candles and we all sang happy birthday. So you've got that pattern of something, something, and something else. Okay, and you can zero that in on just individual things. So like, following that review kind of idea, which you can also use in advertising as well. So it could be, buy this buy this new jelly. It's bright red, super wobbly, and tastes even better than it looks. And you've got those three things there, the something, something, and something else. And the last thing I want to talk to you about is the way in which the rule of three can be used for actions as well. I've just chosen a superhero because superheroes are among the people most known for their heroic actions and deeds. I don't know who this one is. Let's call her Masked Lady, and let's imagine that she has just saved the world again, and we're going to use law of three to describe what she actually did. So this is the idea of describing actions in 3 steps. So let's imagine that she's just shoved off an alien spaceship back into space. She could do 3 things, something like this. She dusted off her hands, held her fist up high, and shot off into the sky. Something like that. So we're kind of just using that as storytelling. And whether we enjoy writing or not, we're all kind of storytellers because, at various points of the day, we are in situations where we need to tell people what has gone on or relay stories and share things with other people. So that is a really, really quick introduction to the rule of three or the law of three or sentences of three, whatever you want to call it. And to follow up on this challenge, some of the best things you can do are find yourselves some pictures that you can describe either by writing underneath them or by just speaking out loud and saying what you see, describing what you see. Just sort of, making a record of all your ideas. You can also do it in a fast way, so kind of like a challenge, like mum or dad or an older brother or sister, whoever's working with you, puts a picture down. You say a sentence of 3, next picture, next picture, next picture. How many can you do in a minute? all sorts of possibilities with that. Or you could take this idea and put it into advertisements for, chocolate bars or something like that. That's something that we've talked about previously. So I'm going to finish up now and just remind you that if you do end up using this rule or law of 3 in your speech or your description, you will sound more intelligent, more confident, and people will enjoy listening to what you're saying even more than they usually do. So good luck with trying it out. As always, let us know how you get on, and I will talk to you soon for another daily challenge. Take care. Bye bye.